Welcome to Party to the Max. It's about time. Starkloff Disability Institute 2020 Virtual Gala.
Good evening and welcome to the first ever virtual Party to the Max Gala. I'm Lori Becker and I am the Chief Operating Officer at Starkloff Disability Institute. Thank you for joining us and for supporting the vital programs of SDI, where we are helping to create a world that welcomes people with disabilities. Here to kick off our evening for us is award-winning musician and disability advocate Galen Lee.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Party to the Max. It's About Time, a virtual gala benefiting the programs of the Starkloff Disability Institute. I am Galen Lee, and I'm a violinist and songwriter from Duluth, Minnesota. I'm a small Caucasian woman with dark brown hair, which is about shoulder length, pulled up into two small buns on either side of my head. I am wearing a purple flower feather clip on the right side of my hair. I'm wearing a green peacock colored dress this evening, and I am seated in my electric wheelchair in front of a big picture window with pine trees and birch trees and a wooden fence behind me. I'm holding my violin, which I am excited to perform for you tonight. I will be playing a mix of original songs and an improvisational tune and a couple cover tunes. I use a looping pedal, which is a recording device that sits with me in my wheelchair and records what I play live, so I can layer different takes of the violin on top of each other. So it'll sound like there are many of me playing, even though it really is just one violinist. The theme this evening is It's About Time, a celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Tonight, Judy Heumann is being honored with the Max J. Starkloff Lifetime Achievement Award. And in case you weren't aware, Starkloff Disability Institute's mission is to create a world that welcomes people with disabilities. I am honored to be involved in this event that celebrates their great work, and I hope that you enjoy this music. Pushing up through the dirt just like a seed, but you're never quite a flower. You feel more just like a weed. Driving through. You wanna know where you are going, but the windshield's always dirty, and you never get to see what makes you think that you'll ever get there. What makes you think you deserve to know? Who are you really? Are you so important? Take a look around and watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Need advice, You have no clue what you're doing. Moral compass it is spinning, an identity unhinged. Where to turn, where to turn? There are no opinions, and they're all a little different, and the outlook's getting dim. What makes you think that you'll ever get there? What makes you think you deserve to know? Who are you really? Are you so important? Take a look around and watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Watch the world unfold. Pushing up through the dirt just like a seed, but you're never quite a flower. You grow more just like a weed.
Party to the max. It's about time. Starkloff Disability Institute 2020 Virtual Gala. Thank you to our sponsors. Landmark sponsor, Centene Charitable Foundation. Justice sponsors, Mrs. Trent Phelps, Mrs. Harriet Fellman, Express Scripts. Opportunity sponsors, Boeing, Enterprise Holdings, Nestle Purina, Regions, Permobile.
Our love's a complex vintage wine, all rotted leaves and lemon rind. I'd spit you out, but now you're mine. We bit the fruit, it seemed a lie. I'll never know which way was right. Now side by side we face the night, and I love you, and I love you. We walked the pier and back again. It was the most scared I've ever been. You held my hand until the end, and I love you, and I love you. Don't tell me we and I love you. And I love you. And I love you. And I love you.
Party to the max. It's about time. Starkloff Disability Institute 2020 Virtual Gala. Bob Costas will be starting the program in about 15 minutes. Thank you for joining us. Party to the max. It's about time. Starkloff Disability Institute 2020 Virtual Gala. Did you get dressed up? Are you relaxing in your pajamas? Snap a photo of you partying to the max. Share it on social. Hashtag PTM2020.
This song is a duet, so I need your help to sing it at home. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna set up the loop, and then we are gonna come in together, and we're gonna sing, "Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings." We're gonna sing that line together twice. And the words are, "Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings." So let's try it together. Let's just practice it once. So, "Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings." So that is what you're gonna sing with me. We're gonna come in together, sing it twice, and you are gonna keep singing that line at home until the end of the song, and we will end together. not afraid to be. You make me feel like a bird in the sky, fly round and round and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. You make me feel like a bird in the sky, fly round and round and I can't fall down. You make me feel so free, like I just came awake, not afraid to be. Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings. Bird, why do you sing? Fate has clipped your wings.
Party to the max. It's about time. Starkloff Disability Institute 2020 Virtual Gala. Bob Costas will be starting the program in about 5 minutes. Thank you for joining us.
Can you see me way in the back here? I've been waiting in line. It's been a long time, can't get no service. Still I am hoping for a sign. That one day things will change and we can finally take our place. That history won't forget us or try to minimize our pain. And so I wait. And so I wait. Did you know that when I get angry, I breathe fire, I could burn this place down. You may not realize all of the small ways I am not welcome, but just take a look around. So everybody knows that you need a place to go, and living isn't easy if you incinerate your home. And so I stay. And so I stay. I may seem angry, so please forgive me, but I am still not free in this society. How long must we keep fighting So if you hear them make claims of progress, take a good look and see who isn't fair. We need a seat now at the table, so please invite us, or don't pretend to care.
Party to the max. It's about time. Starkloff Disability Institute 2020 Virtual Gala. Did you get dressed up? Are you relaxing in your pajamas? Snap a photo of you partying to the max. Share it on social. Hashtag PTM2020.
Little boxes on the hillside, little boxes made of ticky-tacky, little boxes on the hillside, little boxes all the same. There's a red one and a green one, and a blue one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. And the people in the houses all went to the university, where they're put in little boxes and they all came out the same. And there's doctors and there's lawyers and business executives, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. And they all play on the golf course and drink their martinis dry, and they all have pretty children, and the children go to school, and the children go to summer camp, and then to the university, where they're put in little boxes and they all come out the same. And the boys go into business and marry and raise a family in boxes made of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same. There's a red one and a blue one, and a pink one and a yellow one, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky, and they all look just the same.
Grab your snacks and drinks. It's time to party to the max. Starkloff Disability Institute 2020 Virtual Gala.
3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Bob Costas. Happy to be a part of this virtual edition of Party to the Max. The subtitle this year, It's About Time, because after all, this year marks the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. The late Max Starkloff, who was an inspiration to all of us, and I know that many of you watching were personally familiar with Max and his work. Max was a hero of the disability community and really an American hero, because the work that people like he and Judy Heumann, whom we'll say hello to a bit later on, the work that they have done, the work Colleen Starkloff has done with the Starkloff Disability Institute carrying Max's work forward, that's to the benefit not only of people with disabilities, but to the benefit of all Americans in one way or another, because the more inclusive and the fairer our society is, then in one sense or another, all of us benefit. Our goal tonight is to raise $25,000 in support of SDI's various programs, the Career Academy, the programs for young people with disabilities, working on not only access and enabling them, but their own sense of themselves. To find out more about that, at any time, you can go to starkloff.org and find out about the array of programs that the Starkloff Disability Institute is involved in. And also this evening, in order to make a pledge, you can do it online, you can do it by text, you can do it by calling a 1-800 number. That information is appearing on your screen now and will appear throughout the evening. We'd like to thank our landmark sponsor for tonight, the Centene Charitable Association. Michael Nydorf, who's a close friend of mine, and all the people at Centene do so much in the St. Louis community in support of worthy causes, and we're very appreciative of their support tonight. Steve Degnan is the chair of the SDI Board of Directors. Let's hear from Steve right now. Steve?
Thanks, Bob. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome you to Party to the Max. It's about time. My name is Steve Degnan, and as Bob noted, I'm the board chair of Starkloff Disability Institute, the organization behind the vital work that we're all here to support tonight. I lead the HR team at Nestle Purina Pet Care, and we got involved with Starkloff 9 years ago because we believe in the mission of helping people with disabilities launch their careers in a competitive job market, and also helping companies like mine understand how to be successful in hiring those with disabilities. Since then, SDI has expanded their programming to build a pipeline of career success for people with disabilities starting in high school, continuing through college, and as professionals in the workforce. SDI's innovative programs are transforming the lives of people with disabilities in our whole community. Final thought, it's your generous financial support that makes these programs possible. Thank you for your belief in our mission and continuing the legacy of our founder, Max Starkloff.
Thank you, Steve. And now let's hear from some special guests to tell us more about the difference the SDI programs are making, not only in St. Louis, but around the country.
It's important for young people with disabilities to feel empowered to strive for their wildest dreams. Too often, people count us out and assume we're less capable than we really are.
Starkloff's Dream Big program strives to instill college and technical school-bound youth with the confidence to explore different career paths and to teach an understanding of the steps necessary to successfully live independently.
This next video showcases one of the program participants. Dream Big.
My name is Jordan Moore, aka JJ, and I'm in 11th grade. So dream is a aspiration or goal that you have for something in the future. One of the things that I like to do is karate. I've been doing it for the past 10 years, and I'm currently working on my black belt. I love to play the piano because it's fun, it's interactive, and it's great for the brain. I was diagnosed with autism when I was 6 years old, and I didn't really understand it, but over time I started to educate myself more on the matter, and it just makes me unique. Dream Big is this program that teaches students with disabilities about different job opportunities and companies, along with different life skills. It can help set a platform that I can continue to elevate from. It can set me on my own path to whatever I want. I'm thankful to Starkloff for educating, enlightening, and helping me on my path of life. There's always more out there. There's always different people to meet, different places to go, and different things to do. In the words of Aerosmith, dream on.
College is a critical time that young people must maximize for their future success. For many students with disabilities, it is their first time advocating for themselves as an adult while navigating an unknown and often inaccessible place.
Starkloff's Access U program gives students a map to help navigate this unfamiliar and difficult terrain. Through one-on-one counseling, participants gain the self-advocacy and career planning tools needed to best prepare them for their postgraduate lives.
My name is Michaela Akasi. I am a senior at UNSO.
Hi, my name is Ben Crowner, and I am a student at Southwestern Illinois College.
To me, access means the right or opportunity to enter, import, or use.
When I realized that I was different than everyone else, I realized that this is something that's unique about me and not everyone really understands. I take it as like a personal responsibility to inform people what it is like.
SU is a program that helps high school students and college students with disability to prepare for careers.
I think without programs like Access U, I think it would be much more difficult for students with disabilities to know what their options are.
Sometimes I get really frustrated when I get an interview and they will be asking questions towards my disability, not my skills. SU able to give me some advice is how I do it, to able to not make my disability have a negative, to make it more positive.
The fact that I found this particular program really helps with my self-esteem, and it's really motivating. It makes me feel that there's a place that they can get me to that will get me my dream career. Starkloff is getting me into like the big leagues.
Meaningful employment as an adult with a disability is a road often riddled with speed bumps. Physical, digital, attitudinal barriers exist in hiring, accommodating, and promoting very qualified candidates. The workplace is better when everybody is fully included.
Starkloff's Career Academy is a community of professionals with disabilities who empower others as they share knowledge and resources about career seeking. Through their capstone course and one-on-one career coaching, this program is helping build a pipeline for adults with disabilities to find competitive and meaningful employment.
My name is Patricia O'Brien. I'm the Career Services Manager at Covenant House of Missouri. A career is something that you're passionate about. You don't just do it because of the paycheck, you do it because you want to do it. So outside of work, things I really enjoy, I just really enjoy socializing, going to dinner with friends and things like that. And then so my son is a really good baseball player, and he has his practices and his games, and it's fun taking him to those and watching him compete. It's just really a joy to watch him. When I started working with Starkloff, my anxiety and my depression were overwhelming to me, and I wasn't functioning. It was also a time when I was coming to terms with the abuse I experienced growing up. Starkloff just met me where I was at, and they taught me that I was still valuable, and they taught me to value my skills. They taught me confidence again. And so I started seeing my anxiety and my depression as a superpower because I have a lot of compassion for the young people I work with. I know what it's like to feel down and out, and I know what it's like to feel unloved and unlovable and unwanted, which is the experience of a lot of our young people here at Covenant House. That was a big way that Starkloff helped me. And I thought maybe I can get a job where I can give back to other young people who are being abused and protect them. Most rewarding thing is watching the young people that work with us get started in their careers. Starkloff got me qualified to do this job. Starkloff taught me to see value in myself so that I could teach those skills to my young people, and then I could teach them to see value in themselves as well.
You know, by supporting the Starkloff Disability Institute, you're not only supporting their extensive programs in St. Louis and in the region, but as we've mentioned before, the effect of these programs is widespread. And here are some faces and names you'll recognize to weigh in on that.
Hi, my name is John Tucker from the hit TV show Born This Way.
I'm actor Kevin Valdez.
I'm actor Darryl Chill Mitchell.
I'm actor Angel Jafria.
I'm Nick Novicki, an actor, comedian, producer, and the founder and director of the Easter Sales Disability Film Challenge.
I'm actor and singer-songwriter Austin P. McKenzie.
I'm Anita Hollander, National Chair of SAG-AFTRA Performers with Disabilities.
I'm Kobe Bird, and I am an actor with autism.
I'm actor and disability rights activist Danny Woodburn.
Hi, I'm Paul Reiser, and I'm delighted to be part of this year's Starkloff Disability Institute Gala and to help celebrate the lifetime of achievements of disability activist Judy Heumann. For years, organizations like Starkloff have recognized the importance of including people with disabilities in all facets of society. and have helped push forward a narrative of inclusion.
This year, we celebrate the 30th year anniversary of the American with Disabilities Act, a landmark civil rights law that continues to be crucial in the fight against discrimination of people with disabilities. I'm grateful for the ADA for helping move the narrative forward.
For giving me the backup I needed to ensure that my civil rights were never being violated.
For helping me feel comfortable in all situations, that if I needed to, I had some legal recourse to help me feel included.
For working giving rights to people like me and all of my friends and colleagues who are differently able.
For ensuring that I have the right to fully participate as a citizen in this country.
It gives me access to a world that wasn't all that accessible not too long ago.
A lot of people around the world don't even know what people can do if they have a disability,
30 years after the signing of the ADA, it's about time we realize its full promise. Although it was a huge step in the journey towards meaningful inclusion, there is still much work to be done.
Unemployment of people with disabilities remains significantly higher than that of our non-disabled counterparts.
Education quality and access continue to be issues faced by the disability community.
And in Hollywood, representation of people with disabilities is disproportionately low relative to its prevalence in the general population.
It's going to be a long, tough journey, but it's a necessary and worthwhile one.
By working together to fight for inclusion, we can make the world a more equitable and richly diverse place.
I'm working hard to fight against injustices faced by the disability community. And by supporting the Starkloff Disability Institute, you will be too. Thanks.
As we continue tonight, we want to thank you again for your generosity in support of this very worthy cause. Remember, our goal tonight is $25,000, and throughout the evening, you've been able to see the various ways, either online or through text or by going old-fashioned, old school. Use the telephone and the 1-800 number. And now we turn our attentions to someone who spent her entire life advocating for people with disabilities. Judy Heumann has spent virtually her entire life at the forefront of the disability rights movement and is recognized nationally and internationally for her achievements and her compassion, whether through advocacy of legislation, her work in the Department of Education during the Clinton administration, or the raising of awareness and support through her many media appearances. It has been said of Judy Heumann, she has changed the life of every single disabled person in the United States. Judy herself says this: disability only becomes a tragedy for me when society fails to provide the things we need to lead our lives, job opportunities and barrier-free buildings, for example. But it's not a tragedy for me that I'm living in a wheelchair. Judy Heumann and Max Starkloff were friends and colleagues in the disability rights movement. And so it's very appropriate that tonight, Judy Heumann receives the Max J. Starkloff Lifetime Achievement Award.
Good evening. Thank you so much for attending Party to the Max 2020. It's my great pleasure to welcome you here and thank you so very much for attending. Your participation here and your support enables the programs of the Starkloff Disability Institute to empower people with disabilities to achieve economic independence through employment. And we're very proud of the programs we have, and we're very grateful for your support. It is now my deepest honor and privilege to introduce to you Judy Heumann, the 2020 Max Starkloff Lifetime Achievement Award winner. Max and I first met Judy in the early 70s when all of us who were fed up and tired of institutionalization, discrimination, oppression toward people with disabilities and just taking care of us instead of letting us take care of ourselves. We all across the country found ourselves, and one of the first people we found was Judy Heumann. It was a pleasure to meet this young, feisty advocate zipping around in her power wheelchair, telling everybody what to do, and looking for collaboration and support among other people around the country so that all of us could prepare a dream of a new nation, welcoming people with disabilities as rightful citizens. And I got to tell you, back then, we were so young, we didn't know how hard this would be to create a disability rights movement that eventually has led to not only changing this nation, but the entire world. And right at the center of that is Judy Heumann. Judy grew up with polio. She understood impression. She understood, if you read her book, Being Human, an unrepentant memoir of a disability rights activist, her story is very compelling. She's also the star of Crip Camp, a new film that came out on Netflix in January and opened it in Sundance to rave reviews and great sense of pride. Judy has traveled the world. She's traveled the country. I've traveled with her on some occasions. I sat with her when she met with the American ambassador to Vienna and talked very eloquently and very passionately about the importance of integrating children with disabilities into regular schools, and that was in 1989. She's a fighter, she's an achiever, and she's a hero. Before I give you this award, Judy, I want to tell you about this award. There's a painting on the front of it. It was painted by Max. It is patterned after the myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was damned to the lower world for something he'd done that displeased the gods, and his punishment was to continue pushing a huge rock up a hill. And as soon as it got to the top, it fell back down, and he was relegated to having to push it up again. Max really related with that because, as you know, our efforts to change how people view people with disabilities and emancipate our people has been an uphill climb. And Judy, you have been one of the top leaders in that uphill climb, and I can't thank you enough. Judy, in my opinion, you are the most influential disability rights leader in the world today. And it is my honor and privilege to give you the 2020 Max Starkloff Lifetime Achievement Award. I love you. Lead on.
I'm very excited. Let's open it up.
Okay, please. Be careful. It's very, very, very heavy.
It's really beautiful.
Very heavy. More please.
Wow. I love this. I'm so honored. I love the fact that you put one of Max's paintings on this. I always loved the painting that he made when I would go visit. And we will put this prominently in our home. Thank you very much. Today, the day we're filming this, is Max's birthday. And Max and Colleen were our friends for many years, and they were all in our wedding party. So actually, every August, we think of them. Thank you very much.
Judy, your personal story is remarkable, quite apart from what you've been able to accomplish for Americans with disabilities. Your personal story begins with you contracting polio. Tell us about what happened when your parents tried to enroll you in kindergarten.
So I had polio in 1949. I was 18 months old, and my mother took me to school, pushed my wheelchair to the school, pulled my wheelchair up the steps, and the principal wouldn't enroll me because he said I was a fire hazard. So I was a fire hazard.
A fire hazard because a wheelchair might be difficult to get out of the classroom and out of the building if a fire broke out? Was that the reasoning?
I presume so. But the Board of Ed they told my mother, would send a teacher to my house, which they did for 2.5 hours a week. So, yeah, so for until the middle of the 4th grade, I was getting 2.5 hours a week of education.
Obviously, all parents, or virtually all parents, love their children, but we're all product to a certain extent of our time and place. Not many parents in that time and in that place would have been such fierce advocates for their child as your parents apparently were.
I think really at that time, there were more and more parents that were becoming stronger advocates. I know, for example, in New York City, United Cerebral Palsy was doing a lot of work on getting kids with cerebral palsy into school. And actually, the first classes that I finally did get to go to had all children with cerebral palsy. And I was the first kid with polio in those classes. And a little while later, a woman who later became my friend was the first kid with muscular dystrophy to get into the program. So my parents were really out there on their own. They didn't know any other families who had kids with polio who were having issues getting them into school. So they learned to become advocates in order to be able to help me get the education they believed I needed to be able to become employed and move forward in life.
And then you yourself became, among your many other ventures and many other listings on your resume, you yourself became a teacher.
Yes, I did. I became a teacher in New York after I sued the Board of Education because I was denied my teaching license because of, quote, sequelae of poliomyelitis. I was unable to walk because of polio, and therefore they denied me my license. We went to court, and I was really very lucky that I had both good representation that was pro bono and the first African-American federal female judge, Constance Baker Motley, who had been involved with the Brown versus Board of Education case. And she basically encouraged the Board of Ed to do another exam. And then I taught for 3 years in elementary school in Brooklyn.
So you're teaching elementary school in Brooklyn. How receptive were your students at that time and their parents?
The first year I taught disabled children. And I think the children themselves and the parents were very happy to have me as their teacher because it was the first time that their children had had an adult in a professional role working with their kids. And so for the children themselves, at the end of the first year, I remember speaking to them about what did you want to be when you grew up? And so many of them said they wanted to be a teacher that I was laughing and I said, it's great that you like to be a teacher, but there are many other jobs out there and I encourage you to look at other jobs in addition to teaching that you may want to pursue. When I taught the non-disabled children, I don't think there were really, for most of the parents, there was not an issue, but I remember one child coming in December and saying to me that her mother said to wish her sick teacher a happy holiday. And I remember saying to her, tell your mother thank you very much, and I hope she has a happy holiday, and tell her that I'm not sick. But so I think this is in the 70s, and using a wheelchair was equal to being sick. But I think they ultimately accepted me.
Those who fight for inclusion, those who confront injustice, many times they're gentle people at their core. I think of the late Congressman John Lewis, who made famous the phrase, get in good trouble. So how does someone like you, in my brief acquaintance with you, seeming like such a kind and sweet-natured person, but you have to be fierce to get this stuff done? A lot of what we now take for granted didn't exist during our lifetimes. And it takes fierce advocacy and insistent advocacy to get it done.
I mean, for me, I think it was a belief and a growing belief that my rights were being abrogated because of my disability, and that I had many friends with disabilities who had the same concerns. And we, you know, for those of you who haven't seen, you may want to look at this film called Crip Camp, which came out last March and was supported by the Obama Higher Ground production company and Netflix. And I think you see in that film the importance of the voices of disabled individuals coming together. And we were learning a lot from the civil rights movement. And we were learning from the civil rights movement that it was important for us to come together and articulate not only what the problem was, but what we saw as the solutions. And that when we were doing it together, it was much easier. So, I mean, really, you know, Max Starkloff and Colleen are two examples of what can be done when people really come together and fight for rights. And when you think about Max, you know, he lived in a nursing home after he had his injury. And the award that I got with the beautiful painting on it, Max is an amazing artist that painted with his mouth. And he got out of the nursing home against all odds. But then he and Maxine and many others, you know, really moved forward fighting for rights. So I feel very privileged that I've had the opportunity to be born at a time when our movement was really emerging, and that we were able to really bring the vision of many people together and show not only what was wrong, what discrimination was occurring, but what needed to be done to correct the problems. And we still are not where we need to be yet, but we are much further.
I think our viewers here would like to hear it from you rather than some of us who have a St. Louis perspective, which is valuable because of our associations with Max and Colleen. On a national level, what did Max Starkloff mean to this movement?
You know, Max was a thinker. Max was a listener. Max was driven in his very calm isn't the right word, but he had this disposition where he could work with many different types of people. And I think people respected him and saw him as a leader, one who was able to convene people, to listen, to come together and create action to bring about change. And I think Max also, you know, as a non-disabled person who became a disabled person, who wound up in a nursing home, who got out of a nursing home, really had a level of expertise that many people don't have. And so I also think that people look to him and Colleen as someone with a great deal of experience, and that he was able, in spite of a system around him that was really not there to support him, that he and Colleen and others really were able to begin to create an atmosphere, an opportunity where legislators and others needed to really look at correcting the wrongs. And he was a commanding soul. You know, he was a Marine, and I think he brought that, my father was a Marine too. I think he brought that spirit forward. Great respect, fortitude, and always looking forward. We would have great conversations on the deck of their, Max and Colleen's home at Innsbruck, kind of ruminating on where we had been and why it was taking us so long to move forward, and really looking at what are some of the causes of people believing that disabled people are not equal to non-disabled people. And I think in the era of employment, while we have the ADA and other many good laws, we still see pre-COVID that the number of disabled people unemployed is statistically way higher than non-disabled people, and that at least 1 million disabled people have lost their jobs since COVID. So employment, I think, which is a incredibly important issue for all people in this country and around the world, is really something that must be continually focused on more.
So it seems, Judy, that you've answered at least a portion of my next question, which is this. It's 30 years since the Americans with Disabilities Act. How much has changed during those 30 years, and where do we still have to go?
I think it goes without saying that much of the infrastructure of the United States has changed. But when the ADA came into being in 1990, for example, the internet was just, moving forward. So we still are seeing a lot of work that needs to be done to ensure that the technology which we have and the technology being created will in fact be accessible for all disabled individuals. And also issues that, we're hearing more about now, ability to connect to the internet in general, because there are parts of the United States, even in major cities, where people can't even get the basics to get online. Where we are now also is, I hope, that more non-disabled people who are being exposed to disabled people in school and in our communities, on our buses and trains, when they were working, are seeing that we're just like everybody else. And when I look to the future, what I want is an expanding disability rights movement, which is truly reflective of the cross-disability, visible and invisible disabled people, as well as ensuring that people of color, I think Black Lives Matter has been a very important part of the efforts that have been going on this year, really learning in many ways about the risks and adverse impact COVID is having, for example, on disabled individuals. The largest percentage of people who have been dying are disabled individuals, most of whom are also of color. So we're learning. I believe that our movement will continue to expand, and that as we come out of COVID, disabled people will be at the table talking about how our communities will change, including ensuring that we're a part of those changes.
Seems to me that your energy has not flagged at all. What's next? What's next for you? What are you focused on right now in a specific sense? Obviously, we know what you're focused on generally.
So I've been doing work. I have a book that just came out this year called Being Human, and the Netflix film I mentioned, Script Camp, which I'm in.
The title almost writes itself, right? Being Human?
Yes. Yes. But I'm also doing more work in media and communication. I'm working on a project called Disability Media Alliance Project with a group called Dread in California, helping to bring the voices of disabled journalists, people in advertising, behind and in front of the camera for TV and other forms of films, and really getting the industries themselves to recognize that we need to be looking at disabled people as meaningful parts of our community. One issue, the Olympics and Paralympics will be coming up, and having worked for the State Department and traveled quite a bit, and I was in London during the games in 2012. The media coverage, for example, of the Paralympics in London was amazing. They covered the Paralympics just like they covered the Olympics. They were live and on and on. You might have seen that. We still are not there. And I really do believe that the presence of disabled people in everyday life activities will have the most powerful impact on the community at large, both non-disabled people and those with disabilities who either don't know they have a disability or are afraid of disclosing. So people with depression or anxiety or bipolar or lupus or cancer or many other types of invisible disabilities who are covered by the law, but most importantly, the ability not to be ashamed of who you are and the ability for the general society not to feel that if you have a disability, you're a lesser person. A disability is a natural part of life. And I think, you know, one of the important parts about Max was he really embodied going from being a non-disabled person to being a disabled person. And yet, you know, he would talk about how people did not view him as the same person. And I think many of us, including me, are always having to feel like we have to allow people to see that we are as valuable and good as they are. And then if you have, if you're poor, if you're Black or Latino, the likelihood of even facing more discrimination is very there. So I think we have a lot to do. I think the disability community has a lot to learn and to teach. And I'm very proud that I've been able to be an active part of this movement, both here and around the world.
Judy, congratulations on this evening's honor, and our thanks to you for all your lifelong work. Be well, and we look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon.
And thank you for all the great work you do, Bob.
Thank you, Judy.
Thank you.
Dear Judy.
Dear Judy.
Dear Judy.
Hey, Judy.
Dear Judy.
Dear Judy, thank you so much for everything you've done for people with disabilities.
Your work has affected me in so many immeasurable ways. It would take a lifetime to count them all.
Thank you for helping me tap into my own self-worth and for showing me the power of community.
Your work was, is, and will continue to be leading the charge for the rights of people with disabilities in the U.S. and across the globe.
Congratulations.
Congratulations on receiving the Max Starkloff Lifetime Achievement Award. Keep pushing, keep inspiring, keep moving us forward. Lead on, Judy.
Lead on.
Lead on.
And lead on.
Lead on.
Lead on.
Lead on.
Lead on.
Lead on.
Thank you and lead on.
Go, Judy. Go, Judy. Go, Judy. Go, go.
Thank you, Judy, for your life's work advocating for yourself and other people with disabilities. We are so proud to honor you tonight. And we would also like to thank our sponsors. They are supporting the work that we do every day at the Starkloff Disability Institute to create a world that welcomes people with disabilities. Thank you to our landmark sponsor, the Centene Charitable Foundation. Our justice sponsors, Mrs. Harriet Fellman, Mrs. Trent Phelps, and Express Scripts. And thank you to our opportunity sponsors, Boeing, Enterprise Holdings, Nestle Purina, Permobile, and Regions Bank. Thank you everyone for your incredible generosity tonight. The phone lines will remain open for another 24 hours to help us reach our goal, and it is not too late to give. And once again, here's Bob Costas to close the evening for us.
Well, we've just about reached the conclusion of this virtual edition of Party to the Max. It's about time, and we all know it is. A lot of progress has been made. There's more still to be made, and the programs of the Starkloff Disability Institute are at the forefront of that effort. Together, we can make the world a more welcoming place for people with disabilities. Thanks for your generosity tonight. Be well. Good night, everyone.